Good afternoon, everyone. A very warm welcome to all of you joining us today for what I believe is one of the most relevant conversations of our time. The last few years have reshaped the world of work. Words like restructuring, cost optimization, workforce planning, and unfortunately layoffs have become a part of everyday boardroom vocabulary. But alongside that, another word has quietly grown in importance: trust. In today's session, from layoffs to lean teams, how HR is managing uncertainty with trust, explores exactly that balance. How do organizations stay agile without breaking morale? How do HR leaders protect business performance while preserving human dignity? And how do lean teams remain not just productive, but engaged, resilient, and future ready? To help us navigate this complex landscape, we are joined by an exceptional panel of leaders who bring deep experience across industries, geographies, and transformation journeys. Now, to the speakers, we are honored to have Ipsita Goswami, Associate Director HR at IBM, a global people and culture transformation leader with nearly 3 decades of experience. Ipsita ma'am has led large scale workforce transformation, driven diversity and inclusion excellence, and strengthened engagement across global teams. Her insights on balancing performance with empathy will be invaluable today. Honored to have you with us in Ipsita ma'am.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Next, we have Pranab Kumar Mishra, Head of People at Ideagen, with over 18 years in HR leadership. Pranab sir brings strong expertise in people strategy, talent management, and organizational development, particularly within product and private equity backed SaaS environments. His expertise in building high performance cultures in growth stage business adds powerful dimension to our discussion. Glad to have you with us, Pranab sir.
Thank you very much, Rohit. Looking forward to this conversation.
Thank you, sir. Next, we have Hiral Rajput, Head of People at APM Terminals. Hiral ma'am, an HR leader with rich experience across manufacturing, renewable energy, and large MNC environments. Hiral ma'am has worked extensively on organizational structuring, transformation, and talent capability development. Her perspective on aligning people strategy with business shifts will be especially relevant. Thank you for joining us, Hiral ma'am.
Thank you for having me in this call.
Absolutely. And finally, we have Mamta Sharma Ghadiali, Director of HR at Hyatt, a strategic HR partner with deep experience in hospitality and high growth brands. Mamta ma'am has led HR through pre openings, regional transformations, and complex workforce environments. Her insights on culture, engagement, and leadership alignment in uncertainty be incredibly valuable. Thank you for being a part of this.
Thank you all for having me here today with all of you. Looking forward to a great conversation.
Thank you. And guiding today's discussion will be Vikas Agrawal, Chief of Operating Officer at Sharedpro Technologies. Vikas sir brings
Yeah.
strong operational leadership with a deep understanding of workforce strategy and people solutions. I'm confident he will steer this conversation toward practical insights and meaningful takeaways for all of us. And with that, I'd like to hand the stage over to you, sir. Take the conversation forward.
Thank
Thank
you, Rohit. Thank you for introduction. I'm glad to have
you.
such a wonderful panel with me today. And so, honestly, there are a few questions which I would say are from my heart. Even I wanted to hear them. And let's not quickly waste any time. And Pranam, I'd like to start with you with the very first question. This we were just discussing today. I'll come on my part, what we discussed, but I'd like to hear from you first. Like, how do you personally decide what not to hire for, or instead redesign through capabilities optimization without eroding team model? So basically, in PE backed SaaS environments, company so PE expects us to have high growth. That doesn't only mean we only just have our we also have to make cost discipline. So how do you make sure these things happen, Pranab?
Yeah, Vikas, good question. Thank you very much for this. Let me perhaps break the answers in part, but in sequence. Certainly, I would answer. And then for an organization like us, we are actually a P-backed firm. We definitely have. I put great emphasis on great importance to the KPIs, no matter at what level, at the organizational level, and the people to the bottomest person. We definitely look at the KPIs are met right on time. And there are quite a lot that goes behind the scene. But having said this, I mean, since you have asked me the question of how do I personally decide, okay, this is a decision which is pretty much shared. I mean, of course, there has to be a rational, business rational, rather, I would say. There are many things that are looked at. But let me, as I said, like put this into parts. Perhaps the first example I can share, or not example, rather the experience that I can share. Um, we actually have moved our customer team 1.5 years back from Nottingham to Hyderabad. Uh, Kind of ramped down there and then ramped up here in Hyderabad. Um, Back then, 1.5 years, we had about 70 odd resources in the customer success, customer support, professional services, employee ranging from a level of associate solution consultant, customer care engineers, DSMs, PSMs, about 70 odd resources working or handling a portfolio of about 28 odd product, working two shifts during the day, and with a certain level of customer engagement and NPS. 1.5 years after, we are operating at a level of 50 odd resources, a product portfolio of about 58 they manage. From two shift to four shift we have gone into, and the engagement score or the customer NPS score way better than the past time period. Now, why have I mentioned that? I have not mentioned about the growth that we have done. We rather have ramped down from 70 to 50. But then we have looked at where we get the best use of the resources, the skill set, and in terms of bringing that performance culture within the organization, um, looked at people who can go above and beyond, and that's how we have designed it. I think the simple example which I have shared with you, but yeah, since the question is more on how do we decide it, I think it is pretty important. First of all, any HR to first, leave the shoes of the operational mindset or the technical mindset and get into the business partnering stuff. Understand the why behind every such decision. I mean, when you start asking why it is needed, why that decision was taken, or why the decision to be taken, these would kind of solve half a problem. So anytime there is a requirement for hiring need, we definitely go back and then check where are we? Are we not enough having enough skill set available? Is it just a low value work that we want to address? Can we automate it? Do we really need to recruit people? Do we need to really hire people? How do we reduce, the mundane or repetitive work and then get into something which is more strategic? That way, when you start answering the whys of every such decision being made, I think half the problem is solved. And hence, I said, like as me being HR or be it matter for anyone else, leave the operational hat for a time and then look at how you're adding to the business rationale while you are answering these kind of a question, whether you need people or not. Now, having said this, you definitely need people. Hiring is the ultimate need, then you'll hire it. But then you ask the question, should that be a first response anytime that the business asks? I believe hiring the most easiest part that you can do, but redesigning the job, looking at what actually available are the hardest and then smartest thing that somebody should look at. So your first response shouldn't be hiring, rather it should be the late response, and look at what is available, and then going ahead, that makes sense. Yeah.
Pranab, thank you for the wonderful insights. I would definitely go with that. Even as I mentioned earlier, discussing on the same topic today morning, about hiring people. So I was looking forward to have some more people in my team, and I got this question, Pranab, honestly, like, do we need more people, Vikas, or still we could redesign team and see if we could utilize that same person. As you mentioned, like you have increased the shift timings as well from 2 to 4 number of shifts. So can we redesign this process and make sure that we have more efficiency from the same team? Yeah, honestly, this was a very close question to find talking about today. So even I thought of it. Yeah. So let's not have that first reaction of having more people on team, but better sit with the team, understand where are lapses, where we could make sure that people are not duplicating their task, and what changes could be done in their current scenarios to make sure we get the best results out of it. Thank you, Pranav. Thank you. This was very close to my heart as well. And so I'm coming to the
Can I,
second question of you. Yeah, sure, sure.
can I just add a couple of perspectives? I think, Pranav, very, very well said. I think also in the era that we are in terms of, automation and AI and agentic, the whole premise of this is to actually take away a lot of transactional, mundane, routine job that, our teams are doing today, and really focus the teams onto more strategic, value adding, meaningful work. Because when I look at the dilemma of a CHRO or a HR head today, it's about four or five pronged. First is about cost of archaic and very very primitive operating models, which is the process bit. Second is we are expected to deliver more with less. Third is we have to deliver consumer grade experience to our employees. That's the expectation that the business has. Then there is this bit about the minute an investment is made in HR, the ROI should need to start from the next day. And of course, all our business leaders today are asking us to give people with more skills and at least raise the level of work that the employees are doing 2 or 3 notches. Now, all of this can happen only if all of the mundane routine as well as the repetitive tasks that HR does can be actually given off to digital assistants who actually do it much better. If you have the right kind of AI, Gen AI, and then you actually lift the careers of people, you lift the people, and then you also hire to skills to ensure that they do more meaningful work. So I think it's a pivot of process, people, and technology.
Rightly said, ma'am. Totally agree to that point. I'll also like to add next question to you so that we can have more thoughts from
Yeah.
you on the similar lines. Like, what principle guides you when difficult talent decision making, like especially to preserve psychological safety at scale? How do you do that?
So a couple of things. Let's take a couple of steps back and what it used to be earlier and what it is today. I think right now when anybody hires in HR or in any support function, it is about ensuring that there is a clear strategic intent for that hire at whatever level. Okay, whether it is at an entry mid level or even at a higher level. So it's very it's very important that that hire that comes in is fitted in with the business imperative. The person or that skill has to fit into the growth strategy or the growth principle, right? Now also there's a lot of background noise. All right. So also there is this bit about that the process that is there has to be extremely clean, transparent, and very, very fair, because the workforce of today is extremely exposed, aware, and really understands from good culture to not so good culture to to great culture. And I always believe this, that whatever you're executing, whether you're executing an entry or an exit, It has to be with dignity, and it has to be with the right amount of seriousness and professionalism, right? Now, what does this help to do? It actually helps to really protect, how leaders think and build their teams. It actually improves engagement. So there is a fair amount of lesser time to engagement, lesser time to production on floor. Also, what it does is that uh, attrition, again, which is a massive topic, and we really need to focus on regrettable attrition. It helps to lower that. So you actually have the right people staying with your organization, and the marginal contributors leaving. If you did not do all of this, that is, if you did not have a strategic intent, if your process was not transparent and fair, and if you are not professional and doing things with dignity in entry or in exit, you would actually have the opposite. You would actually have the marginal contributor staying back and the great talent leaving. So those would be some of my pointers.
Amsterdam rightly said. I would agree to that point. So normally, even while speaking, if you can keep things with honesty and respect, people would understand that. Unlike if you just come up with some vague story, people makes it that hey, this guy is fooling us around. So
And
instead, if you
also
can have that,
that keeps away trust, and you create first impressions only once. You don't get a second chance. So
totally.
so what we begun this whole conversation with in terms of trust. It builds trust, and that's what goes ahead. People, you never leave jobs, you never leave organizations, you actually leave your managers. Believe me, it's true.
That is true. And if your manager is, if you're able to trust your manager that he is able to do the best for you, trust me,
Yeah.
that person is never leaving you. He'll definitely stay with the organization for long. And that is where I've seen people working 10 years, 15 years in the same organization. And this is what I get from them. I normally ask them that what motivates you to keep working with the same organization in such a long time. So normally people get bored, or they don't want to work. Is the main reason is of their managers. And if the manager is able to make sure the talent is being retained. Rightly said. Thank you, Sivan, for your insights. Next question, Hiral, I would like to ask you. So going ahead with during merger and acquisitions and integrations of large transformation, uncertainty always there. So how do you stabilize a cultural identity while redesigning organization? So normally a lot of M&As are happening nearby, and I have seen once the M&A is done, people don't know if I'm working with this organization or that organization. They're clueless. They have got two different email IDs. So how do you make sure these things don't occur?
Sure, sure, sure. So, because I do not know whether I should say that I was lucky enough or got an opportunity, but I have experienced almost three mergers and acquisitions in my 23 years of career throughout this energy segment. So, what I've seen that whenever the mergers are happening, generally nowadays mergers are happening between conglomerates, and again the conglomerates which has a very very strong culture. They have their strong cultures for ages and their ethos system for ages. So when the merger happens, I say that the core values are very very important. It plays a major role in that. Let's say in organization, if this both organization they don't share the common values, the common ethics, then that becomes a big unsuccess story, or becomes really really difficult to navigate through that culture integration plan or path. So very important is to have, first of all, to understand that what are the ethos of the organization, and if the value system are very different, then at least for HR it is very very important to prepare a very robust plan to navigate through it. So I'll give you one example. Like when I was in Asia Brown Brewery, which is a Swiss Swedish company, and again the power grid division of ABB was divested to Hitachi. So ABB had 100 years strong history and legacy, the same way was Hitachi. So in 2019, we were kind of Power Grid division was divested to Hitachi, and again, luckily, I was leading that culture integration part from ABB. So when we moved to Hitachi, what we saw that Hitachi had already acquired almost 3 to 4 other big organizations, and then they had an infusion of more than 120,000 employees. So I was really wondering, that what has really made Hitachi stood and again quite strong with the culture which they are hailing since more than 100 years. So ultimately, this was the common thread that the organizations which they acquired, they were all always having, the common values, the common ethos, and that's how it becomes very, very, I will say that the base was, or foundation was quite strong. Going forward, especially in this case, I'll give you some practical example that what exactly how we did. So it was more than 60,000 employees were transferred from one organization to another organization. So we led a certain cultural integration program at the group level. What we did, we started with the executive committee. We evaluated the cultural understanding and aspects and what common vision they have, what common goals they have. So we started with that. Down the line, we interviewed lots of business leaders from both the industries, and also we understood what are the overall existing culture in the organization, following with some focused group discussions across the organizational hierarchy. And what we found, the after diagnosing the culture, what we found that there were areas where we had similarities, but there were also areas where there were huge differences, especially if I quote than the areas where work environment. So Hitachi was more, we found balance in the work life, while ABB being European and again more prone to the competition, the work life balance was a bit challenge, or a little, I would say employees were not happy. The communication style quite formal in Hitachi, while in the organization ABB was quite informal. Not only that, the work process, at the same time, the decision making style. Hitachi, being again the Japanese organization, quite top down, while in this organization had quite a different. So what we did after diagnosing this culture, we then came up with, we defined exactly that what should be the go forward culture be. And then we defined our success metrics, we defined our governance, we defined our monitoring metrics, and again, then we rolled out certain plans. Some plans which were short term, some plans which were long term. So in short term, we kind of found and again identified our quick wins. We introduced certain materials which were talking about exactly how the culture should be. And we didn't never say that it's a culture transition. We said that it's a culture fusion because we respected both the cultures. And that was very true because we were having the amalgamation of the culture. So we called this as a culture fusion. We were not ready to create a new culture out of it because we wanted to preserve those ethos of the organization embedded in the in the work culture across the landscape. And then we also kind of listened to and shared employee voices, and then we also sharpened the leadership capabilities who can understand the differences and respect the differences, and also who can navigate through those change management. And then the group long-term plan, we implemented the group coaching. We also implemented the work streams in certain areas like sales and marketing, where we had a joint, team represent certain R&D segments, and again some of the support functions. So those work streams then slowly, gradually they integrated, and slowly, gradually we see that it was just not only the transition, but it was also embracing each other's culture and again embracing each other's ways of working. So that's a success story. Now we could see that Hitachi Energy, which is now the earlier ABB's Power Grid division, it has now, in fact, it is giving more than 3 times, 4 times revenues. And again, the growth is quite phenomenal. So that I would say the way it was transition, not by, kind of looking down or overwriting certain ethos of the organization and bringing in respecting each other and correcting each other's values, and that's what has perhaps given Hitachi a new way, and it's I would say that it's a great success story. Hmm? That's the way perhaps the entire merger and acquisition should look like if you really think from my
Rightly
way.
said. Definitely, Hiral. So it's very important for a leadership to make sure that the values and the purpose is to be shared with the employees if we don't want to lose a good talent which we have. And if we fail to deliver these things as a leader, um, then Bhagwani Rakhwala hai uska.
Can I please get 30 seconds to just a continuation of what Hiral mentioned? I mean, I
Sure, Pranab.
really admire. But yeah, see, I'm not have had the fortune like Hiral to have three M&As to take care of, but good to witness our company. In the last 1 year, we have had about seven acquisitions and three being in India. I mean, of course, the due diligence and then onboarding, everything is yet to take place. But what Hiral mentioned about all this, cultural transformation, or for the matter, you name it, fusion, it is all possible. And then I feel like this most important one part which HR needs to ensure is the communication, is the transparency. The very saying you hear this, right? Resistance to change. People don't resist to change. People resist to change which is unclear, which is uncertain. So if you ensure that your communication is transparent, I think the next line or next field for HR is more clear. Just wanted to add that point. Thanks, Vikas.
Thank you, Pranab. It was wonderful insight. Coming to the next question, Mamta, eagerly I would want. We had a few discussions about hospitality earlier before this session. So just to add one more point over there. So when organizations are forced to lean down, how do you protect service culture and emotional commitment while operating with fewer people?
Yeah, thank you for asking. When we were starting the conversation, we touched base on that. How service industry and hospitality works very very differently than probably the other industries, and you would agree that in an era where economic cycles are constantly feeling shorter and markets are shifting abruptly, say organizations are rethinking how their workforce should be, and then the layoffs and hiring freezes come into the picture. But you would agree that while these decisions are financially necessary, the human consequences are far more complex. And HRs are championing the oxymorons every single day. So the question is not only that, how we manage the workforce reduction or the workforce, it's basically how do we preserve the trust, culture, engagement while we are delivering what the financial KPIs are asking us to deliver. And in hospitality and other service driven industry, it is a reality that every single manpower has got a direct impact on the guest experience and ultimately on the revenue. So it's not only about the productivity when we work with a leaner team, it's about the protecting the core human emotional core of the service, the culture, the warmth, or the human connection which defines our brand. Because hospitality is all about people. We Our product is people, our service is people, and the result is also people in terms of repeat business, right? So uh, we start with a simple but a critical question that how do we maintain great service and a great morale when we have fewer hands on the deck. So the first critical important point starts with the guest value. That what is it that what is truly mattering to us. So the first shift has to be the mindset. It's not about that how many numbers have to be cutting down. It is what is more important is that what these people are supposed to do. So we first map the moments that what is mattering most in the guest journey, and anything or everything what does not impact directly with a guest experience that can be streamlined or automated or removed. So the leaner team not necessarily only small number of workforce, it also mean leaner processes. So relooking at them, because service excellence starts with clarity and not capacity always, right? Then removing the clutter and the noise from the frontline roles. So a major challenge happens where the probably the everyday clutter, background work, the admin, reporting, reports, the coordination, all that stuff, while they look very, easy jobs and all that, but they are mundane and they are time consuming. So whatever are we are able to probably outsource, or we can use the technology out of that, so automate and take those things away, so that the people are actually able to spend time for the human parts of the work, and build a multi-skill team, cross-functional team, where the biggest differentiation are coming into the versatility, that the roles are becoming flexible. We are able to deploy people where it is requiring. We did briefly touched the point about the attrition, and hospitality is not untouched by it. While the talking is done by maybe the millennials, we have to remember we are working with the Gen Zs. And hospitality is a industry where our 70 to 75% of workforce are Gen Zs. So you can imagine the kind of pressure it is there on the millennials, to get the work out of them and deliver. So making them efficient, empowering them, and these workforce are not only working when they feel that what they are doing. They have to build pride in them, they have to feel confident, and they need to have that emotional commitment every single day to come to work. Because for us, it is not that today's work we can leave for tomorrow. One room remaining unsold today, or one restaurant chair remaining vacant today, that revenue is lost forever. We don't get a chance to recover that particular part again. So using the technology, training the people, using them as enhancer and not replacement, it should help us to remove the friction and not humanity. Like for example, a simple check-in process when we are going and doing into the room. Uh, do we have self-check-in kiosk or any apps, or we are able to do mobile ordering? So wherever we are able to remove the clutter, we do that, so that the core human being is left to do the best what the guest desire, making the personal connection. And that's how we work on designing our job roles to achieve what we are actually wanting out of the leaner team, and in the revenue model. All said and done, the emotional energy and the well-being has to be protected, because hospitality is an emotional labor. Even with lean teams, the emotional fatigue becomes very, very real and very, very quick. So the managers are also trained, that they are able to spot the signs of burnout quickly, and they ensure that the workload is felt fair and achievable. It should not feel that what we are looking for is a mountain, and the resources which are supplied to us, we are not able to go anywhere out of it, because exhausted teams can't uh, deliver, because they are never committed also. So healthy teams only give the better service. We have to remember very, very clearly, culture is not a function of headcount, it is a function of behavior. And that is not driven by one person. It is a collective effort, and definitely a top down approach. That needs to be inculcated and drilled down into the leadership. They need to show up very, very differently. And whenever the lean environment happens, many of the times where many organization or people struggle, that the decision are made, and the people who made the decision, they go back to the boardrooms and into their offices. That never works. Whenever the lean environments are there, the leaders need to be there on the shop floor, stand there, be with the team, acknowledge the pressure, and whenever any issue is there, they should be able to resolve them, and empower your team, so that they are able to take the decisions quickly and are able to deliver the result. Mistakes will happen. Till the time you don't acknowledge and celebrate your mistakes also along with your successes, the trust can never be built. Because we need to understand that lean does not mean less human. It can mean more intentional, more empowered, and more connected. And Hyatt believes in the purpose that we care for people so that they can be their best. So in difficult moment is our purpose something we code. It is something we need to practice every single day. That's what probably differentiate Hyatt, that we not only avoid tough choices, but when we make them with humanity, precision, and integrity.
No doubt, we get such a wonderful service at Hyatt, and we have this leadership thinking about customer service, customer experience, and
Yeah,
rightly said, hospital is all about the experience which you are able to give.
yeah.
And talking about, we recently I went to a resort last month, so with the behavior they have and the way they talk, it feels like you should come and visit again to the same places which you have been earlier.
True, true, true. Because like I was hearing Hiral, and I was impressed. She has seen three mergers transition, but when you are talking about hospitality, the workforce is very very dynamic over here. When you go to a resort operation, like when you are going in a holiday, if you are going to Goa, the way the Goa hotel will work will be very very different than what a Mumbai or a Bangalore hotel would work, because it is a hardcore, business driven hotel. Daily operations, the way they are carrying out their operations is very very different than maybe business, sorry, resort operations. Then working in a pre-opening property. Pre-opening means when a new hotel is being built up. So before the first guest steps into the hotel, the team is there almost 6 months old, so that continuous simulations are going on. They are trained. So working in a pre-opening property where you are building up from ground zero, or maybe you are getting into a running operations, or into the resort property, it's a very very different world altogether, completely. So you can
Totally
imagine
understand.
the kind of burnout that can bring in into the people, and that's where the leadership steps in, that they are able to build that trust with the people.
Thank you, Mamta. Thank you for this wonderful answer. Just running short of time, maybe I would just like to have one more questions each for the panel. Pranab, coming back to you. How do you architect a performance culture that drives accountability without triggering fear or burnout?
Wow. I mean, part of this already was answered, I guess, Ipsita, when she was answering her first question. So it has been already taken. But yeah, good thing to understand. See, define first what is a performance culture for you. I mean, you don't define the performance culture what it looks like, then there isn't a point. I mean, performance culture at any case, uh, by any means, or do you really gonna help people to succeed? I see performance culture is when you definitely help people to succeed, and then you expect the accountability from them. It isn't a fear-led performance culture. That's for a short time. If you have a trust-driven performance culture, that goes for a longer time duration. Um, Having said this, I mean, that's quite important few things when you're setting up the performance culture. One second. When you're setting up the performance culture, it is pretty important. The first thing itself, what is the goal? What have you set? Does it have a clarity or not? If it doesn't have a clarity, then no matter what kind of a performance culture they want to bring, or set up, it gonna fail for sure. People should know what is their goal. That's the first and foremost thing, that a performance culture I mean, when you're going towards a performance culture, expecting that to be done, you should have that in place. What should the success be looking like, or people should know, I reached there and then I would be termed as successful candidate. These are two important part which I always see when you looking at, in the organization, setting the bar high or raising the bar high, making it a performance culture kind of, and then expecting people to be definitely following. So these are two priority which I would always look at. I'll keep my answers short in that way. In our organization, we definitely have those structures being put in place. We don't really look at only reaching out to people at the end of the year and then looking at their performance, whether that is there up to the expected standards. We have often the check-ins where we do. We have support in terms of any kind of a developmental need which is needed. We have support within the organization, within the same team. We look at people who can help their colleagues to really come up in case they're lacking in. And there is a formal improvement plan as well. When we look at people not really coming up, we don't really go ahead and then say, okay, it is time to say tata, bye bye. Not like that. It's more of bringing them, giving them the right structure, having the performance improved, giving them the right opportunity, rather, I would say. And that's where we look at. So we follow these kind of a few steps. And then, as I said, like I just wanted to keep it pretty short. Uh, when you are expecting people to be really coming up to the level of expectations you have, you should also be giving in return. It is not just you just evaluate the performance, you help them grow and succeed.
Rightly said, Pranab. And I assume I just like to add one single point. There are two types of people in the world. Managers say one is a leader, one is a boss. You decide what you have to do with your team. You just have to instruct them to do it. Come them with on ground. Try to understand what are the challenges. Solve with them and take them ahead with you. So this is something
Great,
which
yeah.
I wanted to like add.
Yes.
There's a short change in question. If the next question I'm asking to Hiral, she might have to leave early because of a flight. I'm sorry for the inconvenience. So Hiral, coming to your question, how do you evaluate whether to invest in automation, upskilling, or headcount reduction, and what role does HR play in influencing that decision? I'm sure this question is favorite for all of you, and if anyone wants to add anything, feel free to add those as well.
Thank you, Vikas, for bringing me first. To this question, I'll say that there is no standard answer, it's all subjective because nowadays, if you see that after this, with this China plus one strategy, again, India has become a hub of manufacturing, and you would have seen in last couple of years the way you see the entire, rapid growth in energy segment everywhere. You see what has happened, that there is a growth. They all energy segments and manufacturing sectors, they are in the growth phase. So while organizations are in the growth phase, uh, obviously there has to be an expansion. So in India, majority of the organizations are either 25, 30, 40, 50 years old. Factories are quite old. So it is very important. They might not have the capacity to physically expand. So what do? They either acquire the land or they shift the location. And that's how the chances of automation kicks in, because then it's entire refurbishment and again refurbishment of the plant. So now the moment that automation comes in, generally the fear spreads across, that now the automation has come, so I will lose my job. No, it's not like that, because in organizations, especially there, which is more a niche technology based organization, product based organization, irrespective of whether the process has become automized or not, the technical know-how always has its own importance. And if you as an employee have garnered those skills, if you are so technically strong in the organization, of course you are there with the organization, be it the automation happen or not happen. So typically for HR, when such things happen, then you would say that now let's say reduce the people. No, it's not the solution. Or let's say upskill the people. I'll say that's also not the solution. So how it should be? So it has to be that we as HR, we have to first of all do the entire value stream mapping of the process, sit with the industrial engineer, understand the entire business value process, understand which processes have become automized, which processes have still become, still person oriented. And with throughout that entire process, redefine the role, redefine responsibilities, find out your technical experts, find out your horses, find out your key contributors, those who are key for the business continuation, and plot them, redefine promote them as the leaders, them as at certain important nodal point, so that they feel privileged, they feel engaged, and they feel motivated. So once this is the way you should secure them. At the same time, invest in them, upskilling, and again, um, training them on new skills and technology and everything. As a second part, find out your average performer, because we also need them with the organization. They know, they have many a times have the institutional knowledge. They might not be technically very strong, but they know that 10 years before that thing didn't work out. So those people are also very important in my organization, and try and redeploy them. If needed, try and again reskill them. And then there's also an opportunity. I always say that to find out your non-performers or below par performers. This opportunity, redefine the job and find out and again implement even those areas gracefully, because that is how the churnout keeps on happening in the organization. And we need to bring out the best of the best, and secure the organization's interest, and also secure overall at a larger scale employees' interest. That's what perhaps my say is.
Rightly said, Hiral. It's very important to understand your employee and understand if he needs upskilling, reskilling, and what things will be done from our side to make sure we continue with him. Ipsita, coming to your question, a bit delayed. So, how should
No problem.
HR
Before you
rethink?
come to it,
Yeah,
I just want to add to what Hiral said. I think a couple of things are imperative, and we don't have a choice today in terms of anything to do with automation, anything to do with artificial intelligence, agentic AI. It's in. If you do not accept it, the organization itself will not proceed forward. And we have to be in a position whereby we are able to use all of these tools to actually build onto our employees, make them look good, make them feel more confident. But the decision continues to be with the human, not with artificial intelligence. And if we are able to empower our employees like this, I think that adds to all of the three things you said in terms of saying, do I want to reduce cost? Of course, the answer is yes. I do want to get away with all my marginal contributors in the organization and reduce cost. And there are various other ways. Value stream mapping is what Hiral talked about. Absolutely, very, very important. Do I want to reskill and upskill? Of course, I want to reskill and upskill and have more internal movement, more career velocity within the organization, so that my hiring costs from outside come down. So I really believe that all of these are important, and they have to be embedded in the culture, which I think is also what she said. That if culture eats strategy for breakfast, so if you don't have a culture that you know that embraces things like this, then I don't believe that you are doing the right thing either for the employee or for the leaders or even for your clients.
rightly said, Ipsita. And again, I would like to have one more question from you as in the last way. So, how should HR rethink career paths so that employees feel secure whenever job titles are not?
Okay, so I think, like I just said, that it is important to have, organic growth is very, very important. When we hire people into an organization, they need to believe that they're not just getting a job, but they're getting a career first, right? And it is important that we open up internal marketplaces for them, whereby they are able to search and get jobs. I really believe in this. Okay. And why I say this is because that I think good organizations, and the one that I come from at least, does give plethora of opportunities to people. You also get opportunities to put up your hand and say, no, I don't want to do this, right? So if you are able to provide that kind of an environment in terms of saying that, really you have an internal marketplace to be able to search for jobs, I think that makes the cut. I think it's very important, absolutely, to reskill and future skill. Because if you don't reskill and future skill, like someone said that, what if I trained them and they went away? So another person said, okay, what if I didn't train them and they stayed back? So reskilling and skill architecture is very, very critical, right? So we have to be able to understand the model of skills first. Today, there is no hierarchy. I learn from someone who is 20 years younger to me, or even 25 years younger to me. I learn from my 11-year-old niece who handles my iPhone better than I do, right? So you have to keep your mind open. There is no hierarchy or a corporate ladder anymore. It's all about skills. All of the myths of I am senior, and then there is this bit about I have experience of 15 years, 20 years, 30 years. Yes, you do. And that's what makes you, the kind of leader you should be. So from a position of power, you actually need to shift to a position of inspiration. The minute you are able to make that shift, I think you are able to rethink careers. And the last but not the least, I think it is important to offer our employees. It is really important to offer our employees uh, multi-career growth, which means that you adjacent skill them. You tell them that, okay, today you are, doing something in HR, and I'm talking purely HR. And then you want to do something else in HR, like today you're taking care of comp and pen. Tomorrow, do you want to look at, something like performance management, or do you want to grow your career in talent acquisition? So give them multi-track growth. So what essentially this does is, I think the internal fill rates are far higher, and you are able to get lesser from the outside, so your hiring costs down. Also, your time to production comes down because you already are looking at people within the organization and really going and filling those roles. And a very very important is employees feel secure, they feel well taken care of, and they also thrive and aspire for growth. Because if you build a culture like this, whereby you are constantly moving talent, building talent, and then ensuring that skills first is the culture that you're with, you definitely nurture growth.
So rightly said, Ipsita. And even we feel nowadays skills are very much important rather than if someone is skillful, definitely he'll go ahead. Even if he's 20 years, age of 20, age of 30, age of 14, age doesn't matter. What matters is skill. Thank you for your insights, Ipsita. Coming to the last question which we have for Mamta. Mamta, this is for you. How do you ensure that people decision during cost control cycles are not treated as purely financial adjustments, but as a long-term business strategy choices?
Okay, so see, it's now a couple of years that I have been sitting through the multiple P&L reviews and the executive committee discussions. So, whenever the cost control cycles are there, no, that's the moment probably where the leadership intents are really getting tested. And hospitality, as I mentioned, is all about people, and that's where the purpose of care doesn't get suspended, and we ensure that it is right. HR is no longer a function of policies or a paperwork, right? It has got a seat at the table, and it is imperative that we understand the business and support, and at the same time challenge the decision or the status quo if it does not seem strategic to us in the long term. So, working in an industry where the revenue scalability options are very, very limited, redesigning or relooking at the cost becomes imperative. And whenever the people decisions come up, I remind and talk that we are not just managing the cost; we are shaping the organization that will deliver the guest experience tomorrow, and that determines the service quality, the brand, the trust, and the leadership credibility long after the cost cycle is getting completed. So the change of the question becomes very, very important. So instead of where we reduce the headcount or the cost, it is important that we push the team to ask that what are the capabilities that we must protect or build to win in the next 18 to 36 months of cycle, and that shifts the people decision as a strategic enabler rather than the expense line. Secondly, we don't restrict the conversation towards only cutting down the cost or relooking at the cost. uh, Important to talk about what a wrong cost can cost us, so the visibility has to be very, very important. So talking and asking the decision makers to bring on data for, what is probably the critical role versus the replaceable cost will amount to, or what is the productivity loss and the rehiring cost. uh, Last but not the least is what is the risk in the customer delivery or the leadership pipeline. Because when the leaders see that the short-term savings can create a long-term grad for missed revenue or attrition of the top talent or the cultural damage that can create, the discussion shift from that, this should be allowed or this, is this allowed, to who should be uh, who should be looking at us as that, we are the leaders for the company, and we are mentoring those people, they would look up to us. Because Ipsita, Hiral, and Pranab, they all have touched upon the point that, job is no longer a job today. People come to see that, what they're learning out of it, how they're making career out of us. So what is it that, we are bringing to them so that they feel that, their careers are being made, and the responsibility lies in the hands of the leadership. So we talk of thinking on the portfolio as well rather than just a blanket actions. That so we advocate very, very strongly that we invest in the roles that are tied to the growth or innovation or the resilience. Uh, no talk is enough when we talk about the tools or the AI or the automation which is bringing in today. So we need to really look forward that, how we are building that up so that we are able to build on our capabilities and redeploy the talent before reducing it. So reskilling, multi-skilling, seeing where they can contribute, all these things are very, very important. This aligns very, very closely with our value of experimentation also, that we use disruption as an opportunity to rethink how the work will get done and not just reduce it. Finally, I'll emphasize that, how decisions are made and not just what decisions are made. Because the colleagues don't remember, what was done. They remember how they felt when the leaders showed up with clarity, humanity, and the ownership. Transparent communication, I think Pranab touched that point that, when we are able to give the clarity to people, that transparent communication or thoughtful sequencing and visible leadership is there. Accountability reinforces trust, even in the difficult moments. That's where the care actually becomes real and not verbal. So, ensuring people decisions are treated as a long term business strategy isn't about only resisting the cost control, it's about making sure those decisions reflect the purpose, they live the values, and leave the organization stronger and not just leaner on the other side. That's
Thank
my
you,
small
Mamta.
take on
Thank
this.
you. Thank you for the insights. Uh, I have few points to be added on that, but
Yeah.
because of less time, I would quickly have couple of audience questions, if you guys don't mind. We have got 10 minutes more. Pranab, Mamta, Ipsita, Hiral.
Yeah. Good to go.
Sure. So the first question comes up. If teams get smaller and there are few managers, does that mean fewer chances for promotion? How do we think about growing in our career in that kind of setup? Who wants to take this question?
I would like to take this question, and that's exactly what I said a few minutes back. It's no longer about hierarchy. It is no longer about, how you are able to grow your career vertically. Your career can grow vertically, horizontally. Your career can grow in leaps and bounds. Not just getting a promotion. Promotion is one of the things. Being able to do more with a lot of automation and digital agents around you is another way of looking at how you are able to bring more to your clients. promotion essentially is not just about a higher pay grade or a better position. It is about ensuring that you are able to get skilled better, get more opportunities, and really break the the myth about that growth in life is only about vertical rise. Now, while I address it, I will also say that yes, it is important that you are credited, you are given due accolades, as well as uh, you know credit for all of the work that you do. Let it be outcome based, let it be skill based. Definitely promotions will come your way, but don't just get hung up on vertical promotions. Believe me, the world today is at an inflection point whereby the disruption is so intense that the workplace of tomorrow is going to be much beyond promotions and vertical promotions.
Thank you,
I'll
Ipsita.
probably add one more pointer. Similar thoughts what Ipshita has mentioned, that when we talk about the opportunities, that when the leaner teams are there, it's no longer only about what position I am holding, or what we can offer. It's also about that what we are able to bring to the table. So the people who are there and the people who are managing those people, it's about that what all things can be designed so that people feel that they have learned, they have an opportunity to contribute into the organization. Like for example, when we were growing up, I'm not sure about others, I had no clue what data analyst means, right? So with the amount of progression which is happening in the technology space, or probably what today's consumers are looking forward, so there is no dearth of opportunities as such. When we are looking for how we are growing as a professional, position is one part, money always follows, but any organization will value a human being, those who are able to contribute, you know that they are bringing something meaningful. And very rightly, it's no longer about how many years of experience you have. If you are able to talk sense, if you are able to bring something which is worthwhile implementing, which we feel that the organization can acquire and grow, people will no longer have options that they are struggling, that they have nowhere to go. That's not going to happen. And AI is and ChatGPT is not going to take the jobs away, for sure.
Okay,
Thank you,
I
Mamta. Thank you.
interject. I have to leave because I'm getting a client call, but it was
Sure.
tremendously nice being on this with all of you. I learned, I don't know about all of you, but I definitely learned from the interaction, and it'll be lovely to get us together more often like this. And Sharedpro, thank you very much. Appreciate the opportunity. Bye bye.
Thank you, Ipsita. Bye bye.
Thank you.
We'll have one more question, last one, Pranab, for you. And if trust gets broken during layoffs, can it really be built again, or does it change the relationship between employee and the company forever?
See, the opportunity is always limited. Do you understand this? I mean, trust broken means broken. I mean, let's accept that. I mean, if it is broken, it has broken. Now, what do we do? I mean, before it gets broken, you'll have to ensure that it doesn't get broken. I mean, point is like, you need not to be reaching to that part and then thinking of how do I correct it. Rather, you correct it from the beginning. So I would always mention that these things can be definitely solved. As I answered in one of the previous question, it is pretty important that you keep the transparency. Don't give the shockers to people at the last moment, and then there should be rationale behind everything. Without rationale, there is no trust, no belief. In fact, this is from the employer side, but then the employee side also. I mean, from the very perspective of uh, uh, an employee, It is always good to be realistic than being optimistic. It is optimistic also, yeah. You have your confidence, good to have that, but then let's accept the reality as well. What is the need of the moment? What's the need of the hour? Let's look at that. And organizations are becoming more stringent in terms of measuring performance, in terms of expectations. So let's have the fact also accepted that employees need to also pull up their socks, and then come up as it is expected. Now, one more point to add, Mamta, I guess, just left with that note only. This AI related part. Now, often I see that, and often I've been kind of hearing that the jobs are gone and AI gonna take over everything. Uh, I have felt for a while it is not the competitor, it is the companion, it is the company that you should accept. So let's not blame the organization saying that because the AI, because of the cost cutting, I'm losing my job. No, you would not lose it. You adopt, or you adapt to things quickly, be up to date, and then that's something you need to ensure of,
I would like to add on this trust part when Pranab has mentioned, yeah, it's a two-way street. Pranab was mentioning about the employee part as well, that adaptability and, unlearning and learning will always ensure that, the job opportunities and employability remains intact. However, from the leadership side, I would always mention that trust may be broken, and if we could prevent it, that's good. But what's done is done, but there is nothing wrong, and it shows the maturity where probably we own that, this is where we went wrong. And transparent communication always helps. If we own up and stand up that this is where we went wrong, we should have probably done it with more care or more empathy. Maybe the outcome would have been different. The result could be the same, which we would have wanted, but the way it was handled could have been very, very different. And trust me, the honest intent people always see. So, will there be an opportunity to repair it? I do think there is. I do think.
Thank you, Mamta. Thank you.
Yeah.
It was a wonderful session which we had, though it was a bit longer time, I would say, than expected. And we had a couple of panels to leave. Uh, Rohit, are you there? चाय वाय हुआ आपका?
5
Yes,
बजे चाय बज गए सही बात है
okay. तो मैं end कर दूं session, okay? Thank you everyone. Thank you Pranab sir, thank you Mamta ma'am, and thank you to Ipsita ma'am and
Thank you
Hiral
for
ma'am.
having us. A great session indeed. Very
Thank,
insightful.
thank you for joining our session, ma'am. Truly, uh, it's it's your honest insights and practical perspectives that help us and those who view our sessions more, right? And I'll just formally end this session, right? I just want to thank you guys again for sharing such honest and practical perspectives, and to Vikas sir for steering this conversation with depth and direction, and to the
Thank you, Rohit.
participants.
Thank you,
Thank you, Rohit.
Vikas.
Thank you, Mamta. Thank you, Pranab.
Yep.
It was a wonderful
Thank
session.
you.
And
Looking forward to more such opportunities for great conversation and learning. Thank you.
Absolutely,
thank
Mamta.
you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye bye.
Bye.